question that we get a lot in the Center for Writing Excellence is how to cite sources and reference sources in APA style. And the first thing that I always recommend to students is to know your resources. This video is going to take you through one of the best resources for APA style, which is APA's website. You can get here by going to apastyle.apa.org, which you can see on the screen here, or you can just Google APA website and it'll likely be one of the top suggestions. Now, there's a lot of information on this website, including rules for in-text citations, references, style, grammar, formatting for your paper and for any tables and figures. But in this video, I want to just show you two things from this website that students most often need, which are the in-text citations and the references. So the first place that we'll go is to the in-text citations page. On this page, there are different boxes for lots of different kinds of information. You can see just our, general guidance up here about plagiarism and the appropriate level of citation, but we're not really going to worry about those too much. My favorite part is the in-text citation principles, which will take you through basic principles. So this is just how to cite in general, as well as the author date system. Parenthetical versus narrative in-text citations. These are all three really good pages. And then if you want to get more in detail, if you're citing more complicated sources, you can look at citing multiple works by the same author, citing authors who have the same surname, right? Or citing works that you need to shorten to et al., which is the abbreviation that you use for 3 or more authors. But for now, we'll just focus on a couple of these pages. So the first one is our basic principles. And in our basic principles page, you'll see just a basic overview of APA style citation principles. So it says that APA style uses the author date citation system, and it explains what that is. It talks about paraphrasing and direct quotes, and gives you some basic principles of that. I'm not going to read this whole page to you because you can do that on your own time. And for now, I just want to show you some places to go to get more information about APA style when you need it. But the next page we'll go to is the author date citation system. So this is going to take you through what the author date citation system is in a little more detail. It states, right, that each work used in a paper has the two parts, right? The in-text citation and the reference. And those are the two things that we're covering today. So then it explains what the author date system is, right? So you always are going to include the author name and the year of publication. That's why it's called the author date system, because you always have those two things, is the author and the date. And this table gives you exactly what you need to cite works with different numbers of authors. So if you just have one author, here's your parenthetical citation, here's your narrative citation. If you have two authors, again, here's your parenthetical and here's your narrative citation. 3 or more, here's that abbreviation et al. That we talked about earlier, right? If you have an organization as an author. So it gives you everything that you need to know for, using the author date citation system. The final page that I'll take you to, if we go back to our in-text citations page, you might have noticed on the previous page, it mentioned parenthetical versus narrative citation. That's how the table was organized. And we can learn more about that by going here. So parenthetical and narrative citations are the two options for type citations that you have in APA style. The first one, a parenthetical citation, means that your citation will come at the end of the sentence, entirely in parentheses. So we have our whole sentence right here, where we're focusing on an idea or principle, and then we show the source that idea or principle came from at the end of the sentence in parentheses. And this is usually the most common type of citation in APA style. Narrative citations, on the other hand, you're going to reverse the order. So instead of stating the idea or principle first and the author coming at the end, you'll actually start with the author. And just like in the parenthetical, we always have to have the year of publication right after the author, right? Because this is the author date citation system. So here we have author, year of publication, and then we state the idea or principle that we want to talk about. So in this type of citation, a narrative citation, we're emphasizing the author, right, or the researcher who is talking about this idea over the idea itself. And this is less common, but it is a style that you might use if, for example, you're citing a really foundational or groundbreaking researcher in a particular area. And those are the two options that you can use in APA style, narrative and parenthetical. So all of your citations are going to look like one of these two types. Most of them, it does depend a little bit on your discipline and of course on your instructor in class, but most of them will look like parenthetical citations, but you may use narrative as well. And again, the way that I got here is I just clicked Style and Grammar Guidelines, in-text citations, and then I scrolled down to the page that I wanted to get to, right? So basic principles, author date system, and parenthetical versus narrative. And you can always peruse through this page to see all sorts of details about other aspects of citations. So for your references, I'm going to take you to a different area of the website, which is the references area. This is going to give you a lot of general information about references. We see we have this basic principles page here, but the thing that I like to do the most with students is to go straight to the reference examples page, which you see here. So when we go to reference examples, you'll see some different types of sources. So we have these sort of overarching type of textual works, data and assessments, audio-visual media, and online media. So the first thing that you want to ask when you do have a source and you're referencing a source is, what type of source do I have? Because that's going to determine how you need to format that reference in your paper. So for example, we have a lot of textual works that we tend to cite in academic writing. So if I click on that one, I'm going to see all these different types of textual works that I might cite in APA style. And just to use as an example, I'll pick one of the most common ones that we see, which is a journal article reference. If we click on our journal article reference, it's going to take you to the example page for that reference type. We see here that it's going to break it down into many different types of journal articles, but for now, we'll just stick with the most basic one, right, which is number 1. So in this first example that they have, they show you the example citation of a sample journal article, and then they'll also show you how to cite it, either in a parenthetical citation or a narrative citation, as we just talked about. Note here that they're using the et al. Abbreviation because we have more than 3 authors here. So if you have 3 or more authors, you'll just include the first author name, which in this case is Grady, followed by et al., right, for and others. Another thing to note when looking at these examples is that it'll give you some more information about them. If we scroll down here, right, so they give you some more information, like if the journal article has a DOI, you should always be including that, or if it doesn't have a DOI, you can look for a stable URL. So it'll always give you some more information about that. Another thing to pay attention to is the really small things in the references, right, in terms of formatting. So pay attention to whether there is a period or a comma in between items in the citation. Pay attention to whether something is italicized or not italicized. And then finally, pay attention to the casing. So we can see in our journal article title, we're using sentence casing. So that means that only this first word, emotions, and then the first word after some punctuation, which in this case is a colon, so that A, are capitalized, and everything else is lowercase, aside from, of course, the proper noun United States. And compared to this, our journal title, Psychology of Popular Media Culture, is in title casing, so all the significant words are capitalized. These are the things that often trip students up and something to really pay attention to when you're looking at examples on this site. This is just one example. There are lots of different journal articles, types of journal articles, right? So they do have explanations for if you're just trying to reference the abstract, you can do that, right? Or if you have a retracted journal article, right? So there are different types of journals. There are also lots of different types of examples of other common references that you might have. We see books or ebooks or chapters in an edited book, dictionary entries, fact sheets. These are all really common types of textual works. But if we scroll down, we'll continue to see other types of things, right? If you're just trying to reference a data set, or under audio and visual media, it will show you how to reference TV series or film, artwork, podcasts, right? PowerPoints. So this is just a really helpful page that you can use to look through and figure out first, what kind of reference do I have? And then after that, you just click on the relevant example and you say, now I can learn how to format this reference. So if I have a web page on a news website, here it is. And now I know how to actually format my own web page citations. And that's pretty much it. So this website is absolutely the first place that I would recommend going when you're asked to use APA style in a course, or if you're struggling to figure out how to reference something in APA style. APA publishes a print style manual as well, which is very useful, but their website still will always be the most up-to-date source for references, citations, and other types of formatting. And this website is really an excellent resource for you. No one expects you to know all the rules of APA by heart, but it's important to know where to go to get the information you need to cite your sources properly.